Okay, so you're looking for an introduction to this scary game and maybe a newbie guide, but with a funny twist. Why beat around the bush? Let's spice things up and roast this game instead. Why in the world would you even consider playing IDV? What's the deal with wanting to dive into this stress-inducing game? Will it bring you relief or just more suffering? Let's explore the not-so-obvious reasons why you should, or maybe shouldn't, play this not-so-horror game. You know, when it comes to horror games, we typically expect something that sends shivers down our spine or leaves us trembling in fear. Let's take a peek at a few examples. Resident Evil with its gruesome zombies, Silent Hill with its eerie atmosphere, Siren with its heart-pounding hide-and-seek gameplay, and the list goes on. In IDV, though, you'll find yourself in a rather peculiar scenario. Cute little characters engaging in a bloodless game of hide-and-seek in what's supposed to be a horror setting. It's worth noting that IDV is actually categorized as a horror game in the Play Store. But let's be real, it makes you wonder what kind of horror you're in for when the hunter is a cute Hello Kitty with fluffy bunny ears, doesn't it? But after spending years immersed in the game, I've come to realize that there are indeed certain aspects that can be considered horror. Take, for instance, the character backstories. While they may not be explicitly terrifying, they often delve into dark and grim narratives. Another reason this game falls under the horror category is the persistent issue with high ping. Playing it means rarely seeing your ping dip below 100. There are even occasional jump scares when it skyrockets to 700 for no apparent reason. What's worse, if you get logged out due to bad ping, you lose morality points because you're detected as AFK. So, yeah, the true horror of IDV is trying to escape the dreaded red ping. Thirdly, IDV is a horror game that can seriously inflict emotional damage, so you're constantly trying to escape the horror of getting mentally traumatized and aiming to win each time you play. However, if you happen to lose due to any circumstance, brace yourself for a downward spiral of mood when your opponents start being toxic towards you, or your teammates start blaming you for the loss. It's quite a horror experience if you ask me. One aspect that's essential in any horror game is the creepy storyline. However, in IDV, you might find yourself wondering, what kind of frightening tale are they trying to tell with all these cute dolls hanging around? Well, my friends, in IDV, each character holds a dark, grim secret. If you dig deeper into their backstory, you'll find tales that are pretty gloomy, tragic, and downright dark. For instance, there's a kid who witnesses her family getting slaughtered, and there's someone who burns himself because his friend and wife betray him, and the list goes on. However, I wouldn't really advise diving into the story because, honestly, it's about as clear as mud. Here's the gist. It all starts with a detective investigating a missing person. But before you know it, we're off on wild tangents about alien possessions, royal beheadings, scientists playing Dr. Frankenstein with dead bodies, and the list goes on. So, if you're curious about the story of IDV, it's a bit like trying to untangle the drama in your ex-friend's friend's ex-girlfriend's sister's life. It's like the story took a detour through the moon and got lost in the black hole. Unless you're some kind of lore expert, good luck trying to untangle the mess. If you're ready to embrace your inner masochist and find joy in the torment of IDV, well, as a seasoned veteran who's endured countless hours of suffering in the game, let me be your guide through the twisted world of IDV. In IDV, it's all about playing a game of twisted hide-and-seek. The gameplay is quite similar to those famous horror games such as Dead by Daylight, Home Sweet Home Online, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You can either try to survive and escape as a sneaky survivor, or channel your inner predator and capture and eliminate all those pesky survivors as a ruthless hunter. Though, that only applies in theory. In reality, it often turns into a gang-up fest where those 4 survivors gang up on the poor hunter, who's left twiddling their thumbs waiting for the surrender option to pop up. Poor hunters end up so frustrated they're tossing their phones like hotcakes, leading to a sudden surge in cell phone sales worldwide. But if you think being a survivor is a walk in the park, think again, buddy. It's not all sunshine and rainbows for survivors, because they often find themselves teamed up with baby players who are in high ranks, but have absolutely zero clue what they're doing. Let me give you some examples. There's this Griffin rank survivor who decides it's a brilliant idea to kite near the basement early in the game, and ends up trapped down there forever. These baby survivors often end up getting harassed by the hunter instead of doing the harassing themselves, which is kind of ironic. Then, there's the survivor whose only goal seems to simp every hunter available. See Joseph? Simp. Spot Mary? Simp. They might as well have a poster of Joseph hanging in their room for, well, let's just say it's their personal form of stress relief. All in all, the game plan is pretty straightforward. Do your job well, don't let the opponent bully you, and try to deal with a sluggish ping that'll make you wonder if you're playing on some intergalactic Wi-Fi. Overall, IDV is a blast to play, especially if you're into a bit of self-inflicted pain. Just kidding. In all seriousness, IDV is a great game if you prefer your horror with a side of cuteness. It's like watching adorable dolls going at each other like there's no tomorrow. But you'll definitely encounter the horror aspect when your ping suddenly skyrockets to 700 and beyond, hitting you with a jump scare right in the face. And let's not forget the verbal harassment you might face in the post-match chat. That's a horror experience in itself. Well, more like a stressful experience, to be exact. Well, that's a wrap on my IDV insights for now. Just a heads up, folks. These are all just jokes, so don't take them too seriously. If you want me to roast another character or anything else in particular, drop your suggestions in the comment section. Thanks for tuning in, as always.